Ladies and gentlemen, these are all the 12 unreleased vehicles still to come to GTA Online within the next couple of weeks. In this video we'll be going over all the customization of these new vehicles, as well as giving you my first impression and overall thoughts about the cars, having driven them for a little bit. I'd like to think that with the experience I have with vehicles in this game in general, I'll be able to give you a rough idea of what the handling is going to be like and about what position it's going to be within its class. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the Brioso Widebody. Now this one definitely has a bunch of customization to it, and it definitely kind of sets the trend for the rest of the vehicles. The reason why this video is so long is because of the amount of customization that most of these vehicles have, which is obviously not a bad thing at all. In terms of performance, I can definitely tell that this is a beefed up engine. It definitely has a whole lot more acceleration than the original Brioso 300, but overall it's still a pretty slow vehicle, and in the brief top speed testing that I didn't even see it pass 100 miles per hour, so not really all that exciting. Moving on to the 10F and the 10F Widebody. Now the 10F Widebody has a couple more customization options than the 10F regular version, however it's not a whole lot. In terms of performance though, you can definitely tell that the 10F Widebody is a more beefed up engine, does some more acceleration and that sort of stuff, but overall the driving experience of the 10F seems to be a little bit tail happy. The 10F is a rear wheel drive car and the Widebody is also a rear rear-wheel drive, meaning that the chances of oversteer is definitely there. So if you want to spec your car with maybe a bigger spoiler in the back to kind of try to compensate for that, then I would definitely advise you doing so. Overall, the 10F is obviously a stunning car. I mean, look at this thing. The Audi R8, where it's based upon, in my opinion, is already a very good looking car too. And when it comes to the engine sound, there's actually a subtle difference between the 10F and the 10F wide body. And in terms of customization for both cars, there's really a lot of things you can do with it, which is very nice. This is arguably one of the more anticipated vehicles of the lot, but it does seem that it's going to be one of the last vehicles to be released. So patience is unfortunately going to be required for this one, ladies and gentlemen. The SM722, while not as much customization as the 10F and the 10F Widebody, it is definitely a very sleek looking car and arguably also pretty nice to drive as well. It seems to have a little bit more grip and is a little less tail happy than the 10F is, and in terms of acceleration I'd probably say that the 10F Widebody will probably take the cake over the SM722 here. Overall a pretty good driving experience, and in terms of customization you can definitely do a few things to really complement the car and highlight some of the better parts of it. The long hood here definitely has some interesting options there, so if you want to have a bulge on your hood, there you go, you now have a bulge for some bizarre reason. The Vigero ZX, some might even refer to this as the Camaro. A lot of people are really looking forward to this car, but I have to say I was a little bit disappointed in it. While the customization in it is definitely there, I have to say in terms of performance, it's very understeery. And not only that, the engine sound for a car that is supposed to be like a muscle car is a little underwhelming if I'm completely honest. Now I don't want to burst any bubbles in terms of excitement and that sort of stuff. I can definitely feel that this car might have some place in it in terms of acceleration, but the top speed isn't really there, and I think it's definitely not going to be one of those top muscle cars. The Buffalo STX, after this thing has been released, still is going to reign supreme. It has much more traction, it doesn't have as much understeer, and by far also has a lot more top speed as far as I'm aware. So in terms of using this thing in races, you probably are able to do so if you're looking for a bit of a different racing experience. I don't think that we really have any muscle cars out there that understeer, so I guess for the class it's interesting to have something that doesn't oversteer but instead just understeers instead. Interesting racing experience, pretty good car, but like I said, the engine sound a little disappointing. Moving on to the Kanjo SJ, definitely a tuner's car by its heart, because there is a lot of things that you can change about this. Even inside of the engine and inside of the car itself, there's multiple interesting things you can do to the car. In terms of driving, it's a front wheel car drive, doesn't seem to wheel spin as much as you start like the Kanjo does, but in general, it's not super interesting. I don't think it's really going to take any sort of new top spots within the coupe class anytime soon. In terms of top speed and all that stuff, the BF Club is probably still going to reign supreme for those non-HSW consoles and platforms out there, but in general, it's a pretty decent car. Seems to be mostly about the customization and just tuning it up and all that stuff, but hey, it probably is better than the Kanjo itself, so I guess you got that going for you. Moving on to the Postlude, while as a stock car looks rather boring and just really old, I must say that in terms of customization, again, there's a lot of things you can do to it. And arguably one of the funniest exhausts that I've ever seen in this game, because you'll see it is interesting to say the least. The car itself, though, in terms of performance, you can stance it to give it some more traction, like with every other car within the game that is being released with this DLC, and overall, the driving experience seems to be a little bit better than with the Kanjo, in my opinion. Having said that, I don't see this be winning any races anytime soon, but from a driving experience, it's not too bad at all. As you can clearly tell, we're about to come up to the exhaust, and there it is. I mean, how could you not love this? I mean, look at this. It's like those straws that you put as a child into your cup. It's simply just fantastic. And no, I am not taking it off my car because it looks ridiculous. And I like ridiculous things on my car because it's funny. Moving on to the Sentinel Classic Widebody. I have to say that the Widebody version of this car, it just really suits. It actually goes pretty well with the original version. I have to say that in terms of looks, I prefer the Widebody version over the original one. In terms of customization, there's a lot here as you would expect from a Benny's vehicle, because obviously the Sentinel Classic will be upgradable within Benny's, and then you will get the Sentinel Widebody. Having said this, it would be kind of fun actually to be able to use the Widebody version within a casino heist, considering it's the same car, but obviously it's not going to be a thing that's possible. Having said that, it would be nice to just have some cars like an upgraded version of the Sentinel Classic being used within the casino heist. That way, maybe the casino heist will get a bit of a spice up and that sort of stuff, but as per usual, Rockstar doesn't tend to go back to old content, which is an argument that you can't really be making anymore, considering the fact that the last update, they'd gone back to a lot of old content and updated or give it new things, which was actually quite shocking. I think we can all agree, yeah. In terms of the driving experience of the Sentinel Classic Widebody, you can definitely tell that it will have a lot more acceleration, and overall the driving experience is still pretty well like it was with the Sentinel Classic. So it'll be interesting to see how much faster it is than the original one, but overall it's a Sentinel Classic. I mean, the car itself is just pretty to look at, and it's also nice to drive, so nothing too bad there at all. Now, one of the more interesting vehicles out of the lot is definitely going to be this one, the Draugur. It is an off-road vehicle that has a lot of acceleration and grip, even off-road, obviously. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be competing for the top spot in the off-road class. While the top speed simply is not there, the acceleration and the grip it has even off-road is quite good. It doesn't really have any tendencies of rolling over or anything like that. It's just a very stable and grippy vehicle. And this is kind of what is a good comparison between that and the current best car for the class, which is the Easy Sport. So I'd be very interested to see how the off-road class is going to change after the release of this vehicle. Now, one advantage that the Easy Sport has is the fact that it's a much smaller car. So in those tighter tracks and those smaller tracks with those narrow roads and all that stuff, like you typically have with in-ready races, you're probably going to be best off to still stick to the Easy Sport. However, in tracks that are a little bit more wide and kind of allow a vehicle like this to shine, the Draugur will probably be one of the best cars to use. Considering the fact how much acceleration and how much grip it has, it is definitely going to be a very interesting drive. Next up is the Reinhart. From a driving experience, it's a pretty decent car. It seems to be a little understeery, but obviously this could also have to do with some of the customizations that I've done to it. Like that enormously ridiculous large spoiler that I put on it because I thought it was funny. Other than that, really not all that much to say about the car. It's pretty standard looking. In terms of customization, you don't change a lot about it. It kind of stays to how it was before you entered it in the garage. So I guess if you're looking for a bit of a clean looking car, this is probably gonna be it. Overall, seems pretty decent. Don't really see it overtaking the Cinque Mille anytime soon. So don't really buy this one if you're solely here for the performance, at least for my predictions. Moving on to the Ruiner ZZ8, a car that looks like a pig snout, but you can definitely change it if you want to do so. In terms of performance, it's definitely a much better driving car than the Vigero was, but having said that, the Vigero is probably a more interesting racing car considering the fact that it does all that understeer, which is a bit more unique than another Ruiner ZZ8 over here that kind of feels mostly like a Dominator ASP than anything else. I really think that is the closest comparison you can do for this car. It is feeling very similar, and in terms of how it looks, I was kind of getting more flashbacks to the Dominator ASP than anything else. Overall, pretty good looking car, definitely is going to be fun to drive, but it once again falls in that bit of a category of more modern muscle cars that feel more like sports cars than actual muscle cars themselves, but hey, it is what it is. And then last but most certainly not least is the Weevil Custom. Now, this car is a very interesting one. In terms of acceleration, this effectively has become a drag car. It is very fast in a straight line. If you thought that the Weevil was one of the slowest cars in the game, then think of the Weevil Custom as the exact opposite. In terms of customization, you can really do a lot of very cool things with this. You can even give it an exhaust by the name of Mega Zoomies, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. The other customization really allows you to give a bit of a desert Mad Max type of vibe to it, which I personally really enjoyed. Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised that the Weevil is going to be the new top dog for the top speed within the muscle class. This thing accelerates very quickly. It understeers like crazy, but at the same time it's a drag car that will bring that top speed to its knees. Because honestly, this thing is quick. With that said, that is it for this video. Obviously, I'm going to leave you with the remainder of the customization footage and the engine sound of the Weevil Custom. But aside from that, I have nothing more interesting to say. So I'm going to love and leave you all. And thank you all for watching. Telling you to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribing for more. And if you really like what you see on the channel, make sure to become a member like Chloe, Robert and KFC Chicken. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all later.